Hello, my name is Claire Homer. I am the Slough School educator here at the Columbia Slough Watershed Council. Except today you might notice I am a little out of my area. I'm not in the classroom visiting y'all. And that is because I am out here at Columbia Children's Arboretum looking at the plants that we planted way back when and seeing how they're doing, as well as learning about some awesome things with a very important person named Yoko Silk. And she'll be talking about all the different plants we planted, all that fun stuff today. So y'all might remember this area. This was our planting site. When you came and visited Columbia Children's Arboretum, this is where we planted.
My name's Yoko. I met you all this fall or winter. It's good to, well, I guess I'm not seeing you. It's good to be here on video with you. I work for Portland Parks and Recreation. My title is a stewardship coordinator, which means I help to steward the land. And steward is a fancy way of saying that I help to take care of places, which you all got to steward this park as well. So right now I wanted to show you some of the plants that we planted. This particular type of plant is called Slough. But if you can see down here, it's a bit wild. It's like a little mini jungle going on with all these other little plants. And part of the reason why we plant in clusters of 3 or 4 or 5 plants at the same time is so that they can kind of like help each other survive the hot summer months by giving shade. Maybe they'll even share nutrients through their roots. But it's also so we can go back and find them easier, because if we see one, we know that hopefully there's going to be a couple more, and we can kind of be like, oh, did they all make it, or did only 2 of them make it out of 3? So anyways, we can go down here and look for them. These have a couple ribbons on them, and I know that if I move these plants out of the way, and some of these are non-native plants that actually end up taking over. One of the words that maybe we talked about was invasive. So some of these plants I'm going to pull out because they're not the ones that we're focused on. But this little baby right here, this is a Slough that you all helped plant. Somebody tied a ribbon on it so we can find it. And all these bright green leaves are their new growth from the spring. And the dark green leaves were probably here already last year. And what's cool about these is that they're really happy. They're making little flowers. And in the summer, these little flowers will turn into dark bluish purple berries that are called Slough berries. They're a little hairy. They got a lot of seeds in them, but they're actually pretty tasty. So here's a little Slough right here. Here's a little Slough right here. And then here's our last one right here. So I think this one got planted in a cluster of 3. We found another spot where we planted some plants. This time there's 2 different species here. This one right here is Snowberry because it has the little white berries that come out in also, well, more in the fall actually. This is one of the only berries that lasts in the winter time, so it's really important as an emergency food source when there's not a lot of other berries out. You can see this little baby snowberry is doing great, and then if we move over here, you can see another little baby snowberry here, still with its tag on. And behind this hawthorn tree that we planted last year with an adult group, which is going to be awesome. Eventually this hawthorn tree will be big and we'll have little snowberries around it. It'll be like its own little habitat. There's another one right here that's doing awesome. And behind it, another one. So we got a lot of snowberries here. And then we also have one Slough here, another Slough here, and another Slough over there, kind of hidden behind these plants. Here's our little Slough. So these plants are doing great, and we like planting them together because they're all part of what we find in the forest here in the Willamette Valley. They're a really common kind of like buddy system. They like growing together.
The activities that I like to do is something called forest bathing, where we just sit and stand and listen to the forest and nature around us. So I'm going to be quiet, and you're going to think about what you're hearing in the background.
I'm out here in Columbia Children's Arboretum, and one of the things that I notice are all these little floating poofy things, which happen to be coming from this tree. If you can zoom in, can you zoom in on those flowers? So those flowers, well, they're actually seeds now, but they come from the Cottonwood tree, and guess what? They get to spread their seeds anywhere they want in this park because they get to float on the air. So they're super, super good at sending their seeds everywhere, including in our noses.
And you can kind of see some of them floating through the field.
At Columbia Children's Arboretum, we have a mix of the park that's really mostly just for wildlife, so that the animals and plants can just do their own thing and people don't bug them. Then we have parts of the park that are mowed and a path for people to walk on, and we want people to be able to come here and be in the nature and experience all of this. And then right now we're doing this thing where we're actually letting a small portion of the park have some tall grass, because it's really important habitat for bumblebees and for ground nesting birds, any birds that make their nests on the ground. In the middle of the summer we'll come in and mow this because we want to make sure that it's not going to be a fire danger for the neighborhood as well. But in the spring it's this amazing opportunity to provide some more habitat for the animals that live here as well. So if you're coming to Columbia Children's Arboretum, you can explain to your parents or your family or whoever you're here with that that's why there's some of the tall grass left over right now in the spring. It's not because we forgot to mow it. But then some of the park is mowed, and those are the areas that you can run around and play in.
On that note, I hope you liked the video. I hope you all are doing well, and please come visit Columbia Children's Arboretum if you can, and stay safe.